This is just a prelude to a video we shot 2 weeks ago, probably 3 weeks by the time you see this. Rom and I are just dealing with the enormity of what we've found. For us, this satisfies pretty much every maxim. Every question of law can be satisfied by what we've found, and we are just reeling. So I wanted to do this little prelude because I don't think at the time when we shot the last video we realised. Guys, we've been searching for the truth for a long time, and there's various versions of the truth, and you get branded a sovereign citizen doing this, and among other things, and there's people who don't like us for what we do. We are only trying to find the truth, and that's why we try and reference everything we do. What I'm finding is that the truth is complicated, the lies are simple. I'll show you a simple lie here. That's Australia. That's a very simple lie. It's very easy to believe. The complicated truth is that is Australia, but you've got to know how to get through the complications to get to the truth that that is Australia. And that's the inclusio exclusio maxims, that is the definitions. Even in the Commonwealth Family Law Act 1975, it says Australia includes Norfolk Island, so therefore it excludes everything else. So that's 3 major laws in the Commonwealth I've found that tell me that that is Australia, and that is not Australia. This geographic region, what we think this is if you're born here, you're a national of this, but you're an unnamed national because they haven't named this. They're telling you here who's administrating it, and these are the administrators administrating their citizens who are supposed to be looking after you under trust law, because when the law comes from here, this Australia, to get onto here, it can only be done by trust. So what they have to do is they have to become your trustee, and then you are the beneficiary, and then with the second birth certificate they swap that relationship around. You become the trustee, you become the citizen, you become under these companies that are given a certain geographical area of this unnamed nation. We're not sure whether it has a name, we're still looking into that. So we're calling it the continental mainland for now, and you are a continental mainland national. Now, in the last video, Rom touched on some stuff which was very interesting, and the High Court have just made some interesting decisions on the precedents, Love v Commonwealth and Tom v Commonwealth, that a non-alien, non-citizen, but it doesn't say non-national. You're not an Australian national if you're born here. You're an unnamed national, or whatever this is. We just don't want to make any presumptions because we haven't nailed it down to exactly what it is. There is a couple of options of what this could be. So now that you know that you're an unnamed continental mainlander national and you're not an Australian national, you know what to call yourself in court, because the second you call yourself an Australian national, you're a subject of the Queen. The second you call yourself an Australian citizen, you are subject to the Queen, and you are subject to the laws running through Norfolk Island in these companies, these corporate entities that are administrating under trust law, because trust law is the only one they can bring in here. They've got no right to bring common law on here. There were people here. Terra Nullius was knocked over in Mabo. Mabo shouldn't have even happened because it was under the wrong name. Again, Mabo is his trademark. They wouldn't let him in under his indigenous tribal name because they had no jurisdiction. This is what they're doing. And I just wanted to you guys to understand that the biggest export we think that Great Britain, the City of London, has is debt and fraud, and this is how they're getting all your wealth, because you're not here, you're one of them. You've become a British national through Norfolk Island. And guys, the New South Wales Police, that's their jurisdiction right there. They're Norfolk Island Police. They're 15,000 police on the wrong territory working from there. That's the federal police. The Norfolk Island police that are in Canberra, that are in all the airports, that's where they come from. That's where their jurisdiction comes from. So we are still reeling. So that's New South Wales. That's New South Wales and Australia. Under Lord Howe Island, this one is mentioned as New South Wales, but in the original constitution of New South Wales, it takes in New Zealand, I think Northern Territory, Queensland, Tasmania. So this could be a lot of Australia right there. The line down the middle of Australia into WA may be being run from another island by the Dutch in Holland. And we just wanted to let you know that we're still working on this. This is just incredible what we've found, and the whole world may be operating on this system. They find a little island, they claim it under terra nullius, they set up a corporation, China, and if you built an island and then you stepped on it, you could claim it under terra nullius, you could set up your own laws and your own companies, and then you would have another jurisdiction. All you would have to do would be to trick people into it with the new language that you invented that could be evolved from another language, be very similar. It could be evolved from Chinese, or it could be evolved from English, or it could evolve from Russian. You have the right to name it because you, under terra nullius, it's your land. So you could actually, if anyone's building an island, that may be, it may not be just a matter of simply trying to expand a country's territorial waters and boundaries. It may be to set up a completely new jurisdiction and give yourself way more power than is constitutionally allowed by offering contracts to be part of the companies that were set up on that brand new land. And I'll leave you with that, and then have a look at the video. In the 2 weeks we've done the video, it's just been incredible. We'll have some more stuff coming for you, hopefully. So enjoy Treasury Island. Hi everyone, welcome back to Justinian Deception. As promised, here's our video on New South Wales and what it is. Guys, you can use this research too in your own states and nations. Just have a look for what we've found, look for your equivalent under definitions in your Interpretations Acts is where we generally find the more tax acts. But New South Wales is Lord Howe Island. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lord Howe Island is about 600 k's off of Port Macquarie, which is about there somewhere. So about 600 k's out here is Lord Howe Island. Now, we know this, or we found it. The Constitution Act 1902, number 32 of New South Wales. So this was to constitute the state. There is another constitution, which is 1856, which constituted the penal colony. So after the constitution, they created this company. So this one, same as Australia in the other video, I won't go too much into it, but they sit out in the water. I'll read you what it says. For the purposes of this act, the boundaries of New South Wales shall comprise all that portion of Australia. Okay, let's stop there. The portion of Australia. Now remember, Australia is all this water. All out there, right? That's what Australia was, the continental shelf and Norfolk Island, because the definition was it includes Norfolk Island in a geographical sense and also the continental shelf. So New South Wales includes the area of Australia. Okay, let's continue. Lying between the 129th and 154th degrees east of longitude, reckoning from the meridian of Greenwich. So let's have a look at that first of all. So if you want to have a look at these, the meridians are the lines of longitude. So this one here, we'll put this one on, it's not going to work very well. So that's there, that's the 120, sorry. Because that's the 129th. That's supposed to be New South Wales there. That's where they're saying the border is. Okay, and then they're saying the 154th, which is, okay, there. So 129, I think 154, I think that's correct, but anyway, that's where the lines are. Okay, and east of it, reckoning from moon, and then northward of the 40th degree of south latitude. So the 40th degree of south is actually here. And it cuts off most of King Island and the top of Flinders Island. So this is what they're saying the jurisdiction of New South Wales is, if we were to believe this. So, and here's where we get, so we've got the 40th degree south. So that's New South Wales, a bit wiggly on top, and that square there. With the, here we go, including all the islands adjacent in the Pacific Ocean within the latitude aforesaid also including Lord Howe Island. So under the inclusio exclusio maxim, which guys watch that other video that Rom's put up on it. It's a great video, but it explains this. So that means that everything else here is now excluded. So Lord Howe Island save except for the territories comprised within the boundaries of South Australia, Victoria and Queensland. So I'll just grab my red pen here. So we get rid of that. It's not New South Wales, that's not New South Wales, and that's not New South Wales. So according to this, New South Wales, if we were to say it was the land, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that this ridiculous definition is actually true. That would mean that the Northern Territory is New South Wales, top of Tasmania is New South Wales, and New South Wales is New South Wales. So that's ridiculous, because that means that New South Wales police could pull you over in a boat up here in the top of the Northern Territory and ask for you, give you a ticket for not wearing a life jacket. Now, if you went to court, I'm sure the Northern Territory would go, yeah, you guys don't have jurisdiction here, what the hell are you doing? So that is an absolutely ridiculous definition of what New South Wales is. However, if we get to the include, so that then we'll get rid of all that, because that doesn't exist, because including, we can exclude that. The adjacent islands in the Pacific Ocean within the latitude Lord Howe. So Lord Howe's 600 k's, that'll be out here somewhere. So what that means, guys, you've got to look at the history of Lord Howe Island. It's a small island and it wasn't populated, and it was discovered by the English. So one of the sort of first fleeters, it was on the vessel The Supply, a lieutenant found it and he claimed it. Now he claimed this Lord Howe under terra nullius, and he did it lawfully because there was no one there. And that's the trick. So that's why they put New South Wales out here. What I originally thought, I was looking at a murder case on Lord Howe, and New South Wales police went out and investigated it. It wasn't because New South Wales has jurisdiction over Lord Howe, it's that New South Wales jurisdiction comes from Lord Howe. That's New South Wales there, and probably a couple of little whatever islands lie off the coast here. That's it. That's all New South Wales is. And if you want to include the area of Australia, well, that's all this water. That's the area. So, and as I said, that's a bit of a ridiculous definition. But if we go back to what Australia is, the Commonwealth of Australia, used in a geographical sense, includes Norfolk Island. So sorry, I might have got them mixed up. That's Lord Howe, and Norfolk Island's about there. So they're both done under terra nullius. So Norfolk Island is Australia. So, and the Commonwealth of Australia, and is Norfolk Island and Christmas Island and the Cocos Keeling Islands, but does not include any other external territory, so it doesn't include any of that. And up here, New South Wales is Lord Howe, which was also, so they were both discovered under terra nullius, both claimed lawfully. So the Queen can set up her private companies, New South Wales and Australia, on these islands, because she owns them. They were taken legally under Roman law. And then what she does is then she signs all us up with a birth certificate to become over here and be in this jurisdiction, and then we've got the liberty to come back and be here. The problem now is that when we come back without the birth certificate, with a certificate of birth, or as a native, whatever you want to call us, someone who's born on this land, this continent, then we can tell them what to do, because they've got no jurisdiction here. That's their jurisdiction, as those little islands. So that is, yeah, Lord Howe, New South Wales, Norfolk Island, Australia, and a few other little islands scattered around, but that's it. And once again, it's all done in maritime. The which one were we? The Lord Howe Island is actually called the Admiralty Group, and it was named after an admiral. So that's where we're getting our Admiralty law from, I'm guessing. So that's New South Wales is what it is, and that's the definition, because the other definitions are ridiculous. Otherwise you could get booked by New South Wales Police in Northern Territory or Tasmania, and I don't imagine any court would ever hold that up. So the other thing I want to say, guys, is that this all operates under the Catholic Church, because the Queen wore the wrong crown. She didn't wear the crown of the Church of England, she wore the crown of the Catholic Church. So these are Catholic. The Queen can operate in two powers. She can operate publicly and she can operate privately. Because the
Australian Constitution Act, which we have found a case in Canberra where it says it's been repealed. So that means it's either been repealed by a referendum, which hasn't happened, or it never had authority in the first place. So this is why she went from the Queen of the United Kingdom, which is in the Constitution, to the Queen of Australia, which is not, because these are just her private companies. She runs, is it Knight Frank, the real estate agent? That's her company, and it's here in Queensland, operating a real estate company. So that's her operating in the private. You and I can operate in the private. She has a public role, but she's not using it. And I'll just want to refer you something to Housebury's Rules of England. And just a little shout out to one of our researchers here, Gypsy. Guys, he's got a YouTube channel. Go to Gypsy Horse to Combat. We'll put the link in the description for you. He's one of our boys in Sydney, a very good researcher, and the police are giving him such a hard time because of what he's finding. But this is from Housebury's Laws of England, 4th edition, 1993, Australia, Binder A, C81, page 75. And it says, there being no established church in Australia and no ecclesiastical tribunals in the English sense, the jurisdiction of the domestic tribunals derives from consent and contract. So there you go, guys. The laws of England are telling you if you don't have to be in Australia unless you consent or contract. And how did you do that? Was by carrying the birth certificate with a hocus pocus on it. That's an account number, it's a ship name, whatever it is, it's theirs. We shouldn't have anything to do with it. We shouldn't touch it, because the second we touch it is the second they have made the presumption that we are who they want us to be, and we have agreed to basically be slaves. And that's how we work. So we're contracted in. Someone mentioned sea tie. I didn't even pick up on it. Thank you. City, sea tie, tied to the sea. That's why they need your city address, because that tells you where in the water where your ship should be. So yeah, that was really, really interesting. So I'm just going through my list here. We keep getting a lot of comments on David Wynne Miller. Rom's had the privilege of meeting David at one of his events. I believe that there are certain questions that couldn't be answered. Guys, when we look at what he does, there might be some merit in it. I haven't gone right into it, but I can tell you straight up, the use of all capitals and the use of hyphenation is American Sign Language. However, he's still doing it with English grammar. So once again, he's making this sort of fake diglossic language format that can't be read, and there's no formal styles manual for. Remember we were talking about a standard and a non-standard language? Well, he's using an anti-language. He's just made this up. And unless you've got a contract with David Wynne Miller, you really can't read it and don't know what is assigned to it, which is a lovely segue to my next topic, which is the Berne Convention. So the Berne Convention, I think, was 1889, somewhere there, and it was a convention on copyright. So under copyright, if you're the artist, you get to assign meaning. So if I draw a picture and you go, hey, that's a lovely picture of some birds, and I say, no, that's a picture of some fish, I can say that's my picture of some fish, and you can't do anything about it because I have the right under the Berne Convention to assign whatever meaning I want to it. Now, under the form of information, the first one, that one, all right, that's signed by my mother, so she is the one who can assign meaning to that, right? So when the registrar creates a birth certificate off that, the registrar signs it, so she is the artist. She has signed her artwork, because that's what this is. It's not, these are artworks, and she's taken control of the artwork for you. But the birth certificate, she's telling you here, I'm going to look after this, I'm going to pay all your bills, I'll go to jail, I'll do everything for you, I'll look after your money, I'll pay you everything, your life is completely prepaid, whatever you need with that artwork. When you get the birth certificate, I don't have one, but here's just an old copy of one. When you get this, that's what gives you back your liability. You then become a slave because you hold this one, not the other one. You said, okay, now I'll do the registrar's job that the registrar was going to do for me. And that's under the Berne Convention. And you also have the right to refuse artwork. So if you don't want this, you can just give it back. You have the right to have your work attributed to you, and works that are not yours not attributed to you. Because you imagine you become a famous artist and then someone does an artwork and sells it under your name. Or you can go, well, that wasn't my artwork. That's fraud. And that's exactly what they're doing. So that's that one. Where were we? The other thing I want to say is a bit of a thank you to Warcastle's guys for putting our videos up, and have a look at what they're doing. It's great. Once again, they've got some windmiller stuff on there, but we've given you our opinion on that, so you make up your own mind. What else have we got? So I want to show you, I've got my parents' forms of information. I got an email, and it's in another video we did. You can have a look back. Can't remember which one, but it was on the surname being fraud. So 1973, guys, this was all put in place under Gough Whitlam. We all put out to sea under Lord Howe and Norfolk Island by the look of it. And it's a really good choice for these islands because they look like they should be part of the jurisdiction. If they were to say New South Wales includes Washington DC or the City of London, we'd work it out pretty quick. So these are nice, convenient, non-suspicious way to do it. So there's the artwork for me, allegedly. There's Amanda Iana has said, I'm going to look after your own. You haven't got to do anything. Trustee. She's my trustee. I'm the beneficiary. If I went and got a birth certificate, that thing there, that would say that I become a trustee and Amanda becomes the beneficiary of that account. I don't hold that. That's just a dirty old photocopy. On there, so we've got the surname of child. But on my parents, guys, I got an email, like I said, from them ages ago, and it said the surname is an assumption. Now, an assumption or a presumption is something false held to be true. And my father's name is meant to be Larry Douglas Hilda. There it says Larry Douglas. There is no surname on there. The surname is just a presumption added on later. You just go and apply for it, it happens. It's a presumption, something false held to be true. Same with my mother now. It says, there we go, Christian name of child. My grandfather filled this out and he actually wrote her surname in, then had to cross it out because he realised what he'd done. So that's crossed out. So it is, once again, her name is just the Christian names. This was all our parents were ever born with. There is no surname. The surname down here would be taken by the eldest son as part of the estate under proper, when it's written correctly under proper law of hereditary, but that's not happening. The other thing we wanted to talk about is the New South Wales under the, I think it's called the Judicial Act 1986 in New South Wales, says that a magistrate includes a children's magistrate or industrial relations magistrate. Excludes any other magistrate. There's no criminal magistrates, there's nothing else. So guys, when you walk into that court, you're either in a children's court or you're in an industrial relations court. And if you've got a birth certificate, there's proof that you're a child. And that's how they're getting jurisdiction. So they can take, because you don't know who you are, and they've taken power of attorney over you, and that's it, that's the only court. And every matter in New South Wales, even in the Supreme Court, they start in the Magistrates Court. So they start as a children's court matter or an industrial relations matter. There's no criminal matter at all. I wanted to go on to the International Criminal Court, because it is the International Criminal Court. Where are we? Here we go. So Article 50, the Criminal Court, runs under the Rome Statute 2002. Article 50 of that says that the working language of the court is French and English. So they're not using French and English. If we have a look at any of the warrants they've issued, any of the paperwork they've used, they've done exactly what every other court has done. They've used English and the block language together, which is hocus pocus. But they are required by their own law under Section 50 of the Rome Statute to use English or French, which they do, they use both, but they're not using both properly. I don't think the French is correct either. And when you look up what manual they use, it says for general grammar and usage, we consult the Chicago Manual of Style 17th edition and the Blue Book. So both them say you write a name as a proper noun. So once again, guys, this is the Bar Association's modus operandi. This is how they get control of every court, is that they get their lawyers in there to become prosecutors, and then they introduce this gobbledygook language, and then that's it, the court is corrupted and they run it. Look up something called fraud upon the court. This is what they're doing. Fraud upon the court is more than the documents. Fraud upon the court is when the actual machinery, the people, the judges, the the prosecutors, the court staff start becoming corrupt, and they are. They're using this hocus pocus, gobbledygook, doublespeak language. And every court has been taken like this throughout the entire world. It's incredible. Everything from the local court of New South Wales to the International Criminal Court. And guys, the funny thing is the International Criminal Court has jurisdiction in Australia as a signatory. So Australia, once again, Norfolk Island, Lord Howe Island. We think the other states might be registered to New South Wales or Australia, so they fall under those as well. So that was the ICC. Sorry, let's go back to my list. Back in the day when we were studying the glossa, we decided to try to work out what glossa meant. So we put the word glow into the Google translator, and it came up with Lucifer. And that was one of our first finds, and we were just shocked by that. Glossa is where our research started. A glossa is a hard or a foreign word requiring translation. But glossa means Lucifer, glow means Lucifer. If you try and type that into the Latin translator of Google now, it just comes up as glow, because they changed it after we did that video. But you should be looking at a picture that was taken at the time that we've just recently found that we had, that Madeline, Rom's daughter, managed to take back in 2014, of glow being Lucifer. So this is a very Luciferian system. And you won't find that now, obviously, with the censorship that they're trying to do. So someone asked if we could go back to explain this as a 12-year-old. A lot of my videos were taken off the Glossa channel originally, so I can't do it as a 12-year-old, but I can do it as a 4 to 6-year-old. Guys, it all comes down to this: how to write your name. There you go, one capital letter. That's it. That's what we're saying. You don't write in all capitals. It's another language. They're going to try and pull something on you, and this is the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC in the United States, which this operates all under, says that you can use all capitals for emphasis. Now, what they're doing with the emphasis is that they're emphasizing that it's not English. They're not going, emphasis doesn't explain meaning. They're trying to divert you by going, oh, this is emphasis, or this is being concise, or this is something else, but it doesn't explain the meaning. Yes, it's so. Let's make all our important words in Russian. That's, I guess, the equivalent, but they're putting it into that criminal argot that you can't read, and that's how this is all working, because we can't read, and we can't read law. There's two things happening. We've got an administration, which is sitting out there in, where are we? Norfolk Island, and out here, and it's looking after all this for us. But even the laws out here and the references say you can't use this gobbledygook language, this hocus pocus. You can't do it. So the administrator even says these guys are criminals. So even if we send all the police where they belong, back to Lord Howe Island, they are still committing the crime of fraud and deceit and deception and confusion to get you into their courts, because all they are is these ridiculous private tribunals that you have to agree to, as we saw under Houseberry's. So that's all that, guys. Was there anything else I missed? Is there something else I was going to say? Oh, how to get your form of information.
Okay.
So, someone asked on the questions on how to get your form of information. We just applied to the registrar, births, deaths and marriages, whoever that is.
Same court.
Yeah, same court. Just where you go to get your birth certificate, just ask for the other one, the form of information. Remember, while you're holding the birth certificate and all the ID, driver's license, bank accounts, phones, everything that comes off it, you can't use that. You have to be completely out of the system. You're in one world or the other. It's called parity. You can't exist in two worlds at one time. Okay, guys, I had a few comments on my case in the International Criminal Court. So if you want to, and I would love you to, it would be very, very helpful for me if you did this, and everybody you know did this, is send an email to otp.informationdesk, all one word, at icc-cpi.int. And the reference number for that email, if you put this in the subject, is OTP CR-371/18 and just ask them what's happening with the case. How do you get a copy of the file? What's going on? Just make a general inquiry. Let's get this out there. Let's show these people in these courts, because I'm now challenging the jurisdiction of the ICC under Section 50. I'm saying, hang on, your documents don't match up with the Chicago Styles Manual or English or your other manual which you're supposed to be using. The Blue Book, none of this matches up, so what the hell are you doing? So guys, if you can send just a quick email, you don't have to get the copy of the file, but just ask, and that would be a great help. And I've never sort of asked anything on this channel, but this is the first time I think we can really start moving together and achieve something. Let's put some pressure on the ICC, get everyone you know, send them an email and ask them what's happening. That would be fantastic, and I'd really appreciate it. Cheers.